You ever wonder if you'd learn more from a book than from a YouTube video? Or, if that super expensive language app is actually any better than just using good old flashcards? It sounds like a simple question, right? But it's actually at the heart of this huge, decades-long debate that completely shapes how we think about technology in education.
No, really, think about it for a second. You can learn the laws of physics from a textbook, or a really slick animated video, or even a full-on virtual reality lab when you can, I don't know, throw planets around. So, what do you think? Does the medium, the technology itself, actually change how much you learn? Or is it all just the same information in a different package? Well, this very question set the stage for a major showdown.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. Because back in 1994, an educational psychologist named Richard Clark dropped an absolute bombshell with this quote right here. Media will never influence learning. I mean, just let that sink in. Not rarely, not sometimes, never. This was a direct shot at all the growing excitement about computers and technology in classrooms.
Now, when you make a claim that bold, you better have a powerful argument to back it up. And Clark did. It was this deceptively simple idea, but it had an incredibly memorable name that has stuck around for decades: the delivery truck theory.
So here's the core of his argument. He said we're constantly getting distracted by the shiny new tech, and we forget what's actually doing the teaching. Clark says you have to split up the medium from the method. The medium is just the technology, the computer, the tablet, the book. But the method, that's the actual teaching strategy being used. Think like a practice quiz or a really good simulation. Basically, one is the container, and the other is what's inside. And this picture of the truck, this is the perfect analogy for his entire theory. Clark said that technology is exactly like this grocery truck. It brings the food to your house, sure, but the truck itself has zero, absolutely zero effect on your nutrition. It's the food inside, the instructional method that matters. The tech is just the vehicle. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, for Clark, choosing between, say, a live professor and an online course isn't a learning decision, it's an economic one. The medium, the technology, only really changes things like cost and how fast you can get the information out there. But the actual learning outcome? He argued that's only ever affected by the teaching method. A good explanation is a good explanation, whether it's in a book or on a screen. Simple as that. And it's a really clean, powerful, and logical argument. It seems pretty hard to argue with. Case closed, right? Well, what if the entire foundation of that argument was flawed? What if Clark, for all his logic, was asking the completely wrong question from the very beginning?
And that brings us to Robert Kozma. In that exact same year, 1994, he stepped into the ring. But he wasn't there just to argue with Clark's answer. He was there to turn the entire debate on its head. And this quote is the key to his whole counter-argument. Kozma basically said, hey everyone, stop arguing about whether media have influenced learning in the past. Of course they haven't. We haven't really been designing them to. The real question is, will they? See what he did there? He's shifting our focus from looking backwards to looking forwards, from what media have been to what we can build them to be. And this all comes from a fundamentally different view of what learning even is. If Clark's model is a one-way delivery, Kozma's is a dynamic, two-way conversation. He argued that learning isn't something that just gets poured into your brain. The learner isn't a passive bucket. You are an active architect, building your own knowledge by interacting with your world. And this leads us to his most powerful idea. Kozma said we need to stop thinking about learning from media and start thinking about learning with media. A truly well-designed piece of technology isn't just a tool, it can actually be a cognitive partner. Think of it like a smart study buddy, one that can present challenges and adapt to you in ways a book just never could. So how can a machine be a partner? Well, Kozma pointed to three unique strengths. First, the technology itself, what it can physically do. Think of a VR headset that can literally put you on the surface of Mars. Second, its symbol systems, the unique languages it speaks, like an interactive 3D model of a molecule you can actually rotate and pull apart. And third, its processing capabilities, its power to calculate and react, like a language app giving you instant feedback on your pronunciation. And this isn't just theory. Check out this example he used, a software called Thinker Tools. This was revolutionary.
Students didn't just read about Newtonian physics, they did physics. They used a joystick to apply force, they saw the immediate results, and then they worked together to figure out the laws of motion for themselves. In this case, you simply cannot separate the medium from the method. They are completely and beautifully intertwined.
And just like that, the battle lines were drawn. On one side, you've got Clark's pragmatic, efficient delivery truck. And on the other, you've got Kozma's ambitious, forward-looking vision of a cognitive partner. And this created a fundamental standoff that has shaped how we design and argue about educational technology for over 30 years now.
So let's just boil it all down. For Clark, technology is an interchangeable delivery truck. The learning is caused only by the instructional method inside. But for Kozma, technology can be an integral part of the learning system itself. The learning happens in that unique interaction between the student and what the machine can do. It's the delivery truck versus the co-pilot.
Which brings us right here to today. In a world with AI tutors that adapt to our every mistake and virtual realities that can immerse us in totally new worlds, this is not just an academic debate anymore. Is all this incredible tech just a much, much fancier delivery truck? Or have we finally started to build that cognitive partner that Kozma dreamed of all those years ago? The answer to that question isn't just going to shape the next classroom, it's going to define the future of how we all learn.